Today I'm joined by Remco Eenink. Remco has 20 plus years of experience as an Olympic weightlifter himself.
Yes.
50 plus years in coaching Olympic weightlifters. Amongst the many experience of Remco is member of the European Weightlifting Federation of the board, member of the Technical and Scientific Commission for the European Weightlifting Federation and International Weightlifting Federation, and chairman of the Dutch Weightlifting Federation.
That's correct.
Welcome, Remco.
Thank you.
Remco, in your life as an athlete or coach, what was your darkest moment?
Well, I cannot remember a specific dark moment in my life as an athlete, but as a coach, I can say I've had some dark moments. Because we often experience in the Netherlands that when you have a really talented weightlifter, that they often quit after a couple of years because there is no financial support in the Netherlands, and that is each time a disappointment. Because you spend a lot of time, and that is actually for free, yes, because we are not paid for the job, and so you spend a lot of time and a lot of energy, and then in many cases you see that after a couple of years they quit training because of financial reasons.
Yeah.
But I'm always an optimist.
Yeah.
I always see also the new chances, new opportunities, and that's why I'm still enthusiastic about weightlifting after more than 50 years.
Okay.
Yes.
And so if these dark moments occur, how do you deal with that? How do you recover from that?
Yeah, well, yes, I actually always say that's life, because that is what happens, and you know that it can happen, and you also know that it is likely to happen in this sport, as weightlifting, and so you have no choice. It is for me not a choice to say, okay, I won't do it anymore, and I don't want to spend my time and energy in this anymore. That is not the case. So each time when there is real talent, I say, okay, if you want to train and you have the time to train twice a day, I will be there. It's like that. Yeah.
Okay. And what was your best moment?
Well, my best moment as a weightlifter, it was also, of course, a disappointment, but that was that I lifted in 1972 in Germany. It was a rather small competition, but I lifted 10 kilograms less than the Olympic qualification for the Olympics 1972 in Munich. I knew that I actually had not enough time to make the qualification for the Olympics, but I trained all by myself here in the Netherlands. Now and then I went to Germany. So actually I was very satisfied with this result, and that was actually as a weightlifter, and the other best moment in my life in weightlifting, that was 2018, when we became, after 60 plus years, I believe, an independent weightlifting federation again. And we are a direct member now of the Dutch National Olympic Committee. And I fought for this, literally I fought for this over 5 years to make this happen. And last year I reached this goal, and I'm very happy about that, because now we also get the basic funding that each member of the National Olympic Committee in the Netherlands gets each year.
And before that it was?
Nothing. We received nothing.
No, but the federation was associated?
Oh yes, yes. Well, in 1960 still there was an independent weightlifting federation. I believe in 1962 or something like that. It was weightlifting and wrestling. That was one federation, and after that we were a part of the Royal Strength and Fitness Federation, and later the Royal Strength and Fitness Federation changed its constitution, and then we were not a federation within the Strength and Fitness Federation, but we were only a section. And at that time we didn't receive actually we didn't receive one euro a year, so we had nothing. So the situation has improved a lot. And that makes me very happy, because now we can do much more for weightlifters and for talents in weightlifting. And that's our job as executive board of the Dutch Weightlifting Association.
If you could go back in time 10 or 15 years or even longer, what advice would you give your younger you with all the experiences you have now?
Well, if I could start all over again, I would seek immediately good guidance from a very good weightlifting coach. And that was actually my problem here, where I live in Assen. There was no weightlifting club. So I started with weightlifting by saving money, buy a barbell, rent a place where I could begin weightlifting. I taught the techniques myself, and after, let's say, 2.5 years, I didn't make any progress. And so then I sought knowledge, and that knowledge was not to be found in the Netherlands. So already back then I could speak German very well, there was no problem. So I tried to find a good coach in Germany. And I don't know if you know the name Tommy Kono.
Yeah.
Yes. Tommy Kono was very famous in the United States. He lived in Hawaii, 6-time world champion. Later he was the national coach for the West German team, weightlifting team. And he lived in Mannheim. And I saw once in a magazine, Strength and Health, I saw there was a letter from him, and it said also where he lived, in the Meerwiesenstraße, Mannheim, Tommy Kono. So I thought, well, okay, let's try. I looked up his telephone number and I called him one evening, and he was very nice on the phone, and he said, okay, but I can't help you because you are the competition in the Netherlands, but I can perhaps help you to find a good coach in Germany. And then he suggested Josef Schnell in Peutenhausen. Josef Schnell was at that time a very famous weightlifting coach in Germany. He had very, very good weightlifters. Almost each of them had a world record. And so he gave me his telephone number, and he said, okay, you can tell him that I gave you the number. So I called Josef Schnell, and at first, he told me, okay, but I'm very busy, I have not much time, etc., etc. And later he said to me, okay, you can come. And I said, when? He said, anytime. It was at a Friday. And I said, okay, then I will be there Sunday. Is that okay? He said, yes, that's okay. What time? Oh, doesn't matter. I said, okay, let's say 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He said, okay. So I had to arrange my my traveling because I didn't have a car then. So I had to buy a ticket for the train, and then I went by train to Germany. It was almost 8 hours, and I spent the night there, and then I took a taxi, and the taxi driver, he said, oh, Josef Schnell, I know, no problem. So he drove me over there, and then I found out that Josef Schnell was still sleeping. But later he helped me a lot. He never asked money, and he completely outlined for me his training system. Completely. And after that I went back to the Netherlands, and I started training on that training system. And the first time I made my mistakes by going heavier than he suggested because it felt so good. And the second time that I did his training program, I made tremendous progress, unbelievable. And that proves, in my opinion, that if you train on a good, scientifically based training system, you can make very, very, very good progress. And then you don't waste a lot of time, because you cannot become a world champion in weightlifting when you are 45. So you must not waste a lot of time, and you must look for a good coach and have then his guidance. And that was, of course, a problem because I was in the army at that time. For me, it was not possible to train under his guidance every day. That was not allowed.
As a coach, what is your coaching philosophy?
The most important thing for me as a weightlifting trainer, as a weightlifting coach, that is to pay attention that the lifter does not more than he or she should do. One of the biggest problems in training with weights, and that is weightlifting, of course, that is that they want to do too much. And they want to do too much too often. And they don't understand that certain periods in the training cycle you must not go heavy. They are for how do you say that, strength and conditioning. Yeah? That is very important in certain periods of the training, and then you must not go heavy. And many weightlifters, they have the feeling that they can only become strong and a good weightlifter by going heavy every time. And another very important point in training, that is that you need to unload the training. Yes, so you have weeks with high volume and high intensity, and you also need to plan weeks with low volume and low intensity, because recuperation is the most important thing in training. You can train as much as you want, but if recuperation is not optimal, is not complete, then either the progress is not as good as you should have made, or you don't make progress at all. And many weightlifters have the feeling when the progress is not as good as expected, that they want to do more, instead of evaluating the training and perhaps come to the conclusion that they do already a little too much. This is very, very important. So in most cases, the coach or the trainer, he must put on the brakes in training instead of encouraging the lifter to do more. That is one of the biggest problems in training with weights and in weightlifting.
What person has influenced you the most, and why?
Yeah, that has been Joseph Schnell. That has been Joseph Schnell. I was always welcome there, and as I already told you, that he outlined his complete training system. That was completely different from what was used everywhere else, not only in Germany but also in Russia, for instance. And his training method was very, very, very good. He you could say he invented a training system that was based on half the time of the training cycle was only spent on training for strength. And if the strength was there, then the second half of the training cycle was only spent on technique. And many feel that you can lose your strength very, very easily, but that is actually not the case. And he had a training accommodation there that was very, very small. It was about 70% of what I have here. Yeah, 2 platforms only, 2 platforms. There lifted there about 5 weightlifters, and each weightlifter had at least 1 world record. And I remember that is also worth mentioning, I believe, that is at that time a good friend of mine, Gunther Breckel. He lifted a world record with the juniors, and he had a full-time job at a bank. He worked at a bank. He had a full-time job, so he couldn't train all day or something like that. No, he had a full-time job. So in the time that he trained for strength, he trained 6 days a week, 3 hours each day, and after that he trained only 3 times a week, about 2.5 hours each time. And he had very, very good results, just like the rest. And what was for me so special, that is that Jozef Schnell, he was able to invent a totally new, totally different training system that was completely different from what everyone else was doing. And that is special. Yeah? Most people, they can only reproduce what they are taught. And that was with him, it was totally different. And that has made a lot of impression on me. And also, as I already told you an hour ago, that I had here a young weightlifter, Rasul Arad. I did this training system with him, and he in 2.5 years' time, he weighed 76 kilograms. He already snatched 112, clean and jerk 142, and could do a front squat in a set of 5 with 180. Unbelievably strong. Yes. So it is. He also liked this system very much. Yeah.
And that system has influenced your own training system?
Yes, also. Well? Also, yes. When I did my final exam 2010 in Germany for my high performance license, but I felt that they started in the first week of the new training cycle that they started too high. That they started too high. Of course, when I'm following the course there, that I don't say, but in my opinion, you are starting too high. Yeah, that is not my style to do that. But I discussed it several times with a very good Russian coach, a very good Romanian coach. He was national coach of Romania, and I discussed it also with them, and they also said, okay, that is starting very, very high. So yes, it has also influenced my way of creating training plans. Yes.
I know we've spoken previously about that you're very passionate of coaches' education, and you've developed your own curriculum for training people, but you also developed a curriculum to educate coaches, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes,
Can
correct.
you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. Well, the Dutch Weightlifting Federation, it has been together with wrestling, etc., etc. But it exists actually over 100 years. And in these 100 years, there never has been a good education program to educate coaches. When I was 20 years old, and that is a long time ago, I already kept saying, You must not always mention that in foreign countries or in former Eastern countries, this and that is better, etc. Start with educating coaches. If you don't have the coaches who can create the training plans for a top lifter and also for a medium lifter, etc., then it is not possible for a Dutch weightlifter to get to the top. You can have a very much talented weightlifter, but you must also have the coaches who have the knowledge and the experience to guide that weightlifter to the top. Yes, and every stage in the development stage of a weightlifter needs a different kind of training. The impulses are not the same. Training volume is not the same. Training intensity is not the same, etc. So when I concluded my own education in Germany, one of the very first things that came to my mind was, I don't want to keep this knowledge for me alone. That is not useful. So I started to create coaching education programs. And the problem here in the Netherlands is that it is different than in Germany, because in Germany you have coaches that is their full-time job. Yeah, they make a living from that. That is in the Netherlands, that is not possible. So it is here a matter that if you want to create these programs, it is no use to have a basic program that is in Germany, that is 3 years for level 1 and 2 together. That is 3 years. Then if you do that here in the Netherlands, there is no one who is willing to spend the time and the money to do that. So the trick is that you develop a program that is very intense and short. And everything that is not absolutely necessary, you must just omit from this program. And you must go to the basics. What a coach really needs, and that is important. And then you must be complete. You must not withhold certain information. And that has been the case in Germany, as I have noticed. So what I do is I teach the students, the coaches, everything they need to know for each level, up to a high performance trainer.
And I think recently you also started to develop an e-learning course.
Yes.
Right? So that people don't only have to, so they don't have to be physically with you, they can
That's
follow
correct.
it online.
Yes, that is correct. I was asked from coaches in England, from Cyprus, from Norway, from Sweden. They asked me, yes, well, it is not convenient for me to to come to the Netherlands and then spend a week with you there. That costs a lot of money. You have your hotel costs, you have your flight ticket, etc., etc. So that is when I thought, okay, it would be a good idea, especially for level 3. In level 3, you learn to program for not high performance, for different age groups, for different experience groups, for men and women, because there's also a difference. And also for level 4, high performance. So I made an e-learning, and that consists of 40 hours of video. 40 different videos, each is about 1 hour, between 50 minutes to 70 minutes per video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? And in this I explain every detail, and I give examples, and at the end I create a training program together with the online student for a specific lifter, specific age group. For instance, for level 3, for a lifter 18 years old who has a lifting experience of 5 years. Yes, and then I show the online student each step in the process, how you do that, and how much he should do, and what intensities for each exercise you should reach in every week of the training cycle, and so they can use this course for 6 months. So they have all the time they want to complete the course. They can do an exam, and then they get a certificate from the Dutch Weightlifting Federation.
Okay. And that is
and the certificate is in English, of course.
Yeah.
Yes, so if you do not live in the Netherlands, and as I had once with someone from Australia, yeah, he has his certificate in English, so he can show it over there. It is no problem. Everyone can see it is from the Dutch Weightlifting Federation. And the Dutch Weightlifting Federation actually is the highest authority on weightlifting in the Netherlands. So I have a contract with the Dutch Weightlifting Federation that these courses are the official courses for the coaches, etc., from Dutch weightlifting.
Okay. And where can people find this information?
You can find it on 2 websites. You can find it on the website of Milo Opleidingen, that is Dutch. Then you will also see links to Dutch Weightlifting Academy.nl. Dutch Weightlifting Academy.nl.
Okay, so it's Milo Opleidingen.
Yes, Milo is Milo,
.nl?
M-I-L-O.
Okay.
Yes.
And Dutch Weightlifting Academy.
Dutch Weightlifting Academy. Yeah.
That is
perhaps no .nl.
.nl.
That is perhaps the easiest way, and yeah, because I'm not the youngest anymore, so I also wanted to make sure that later the courses, the books, etc., the training plans I have, I don't know how many, perhaps 80, 85 different training plans. I don't want this to be lost. So I made sure with a notary that when I'm not there anymore, or that I don't want to give these courses anymore, then they belong to the Dutch Weightlifting Federation.
Okay.
Yeah. They do not have to pay for it, so they will get it as a gift from me, and I hope they can do a lot of good with that in the future.
That's nice.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
You want to nominate someone to be interviewed?
Yes. A name that comes to mind is Szymon Kolecki.
Mm-hmm.
Szymon Kolecki was a top weightlifter from Poland. He lifted in the 94 kilogram category. I don't know if you know that, but now the bodyweight categories have changed.
Yeah.
But until the change last year, his junior world record was still standing in the clean and jerk. And that is very special. He has also been 4 years president of the Polish Weightlifting Federation. And I'm very grateful to him because he was also in a committee together with me, and he helped me to organize a training camp for the European Union Weightlifting Confederation, of which I was president at that time.
Okay.
And we held a training camp in Poland, in Spala.
Okay.
And you can try that. And he can also speak very good. His English is very good, so that will also be no problem.
Oh, nice.
He's a very kind person.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Remco, thanks for your time.
Thank you. You're welcome.